along the x-axis, y is going to equal 0. So let's say this point is 2, 0. Let's say this point is negative 3, 0. Both of those have a y value of 0. Everywhere along that line, y is going to be 0. So when you're finding your x-intercept, you are substituting, you're substituting 0 in for y. And then solving. With a similar idea, everywhere on the y-axis, this point would be, say, 0, 2. All of these points are going to have an x value of 0. So finding y-intercepts, you substitute 0 for x and solve. Quite frequently, your y value, your y-intercept is going to be the easy one to find, and your x-intercept may be the more in-depth one, the one that's going to take a little bit more work to find. Okay, so on 2x squared plus 9y equals 72, make sure you're paying attention to where your x's and y's are. For your y-intercept, we're going to plug 0 in for x. So 2 times 0 squared plus 9y equals 72. Not 92, 72. Sorry. So 0 squared is 0 times 2 is also 0. So this particular term right here is gone, and we are left with 9y equals 72. Divide by 9, and you have y equals 8. So our is the point 0, 8. That's technically writing it correct with the actual coordinate, but I'm also fine with y equals 8. For the x-intercept, we're going to substitute 0 in for y. So 2x squared plus 9 times 0. 9 times 0 is also 0. So that one adds out, or multiplies out. And we're left with 2x squared equals 72. Anybody tell me what my next step is supposed to be? Yeah. Not going to square root yet. Divide by 2. Very good. So divide both sides by 2, so we're left with x squared equals 36, and that's when we square root. And we're able to solve it like this because we only have that single x squared and not an x squared and an x separately. So x equals 6. Is that my only answer? There you go. Plus or minus. So the reason that this answer is going to be plus or minus, when you square root a number, you are finding the number that multiplied by itself will give you that. So we want to know what times itself equals 36. 6 times 6 equals 36, but negative 6 times negative 6 is also 36. So we have both a positive and a negative 6 for our x value, which means we're going to have two x-intercepts, both at negative 6, 0 and at 6, 0. Questions on that? Okay. So let's start with the y-intercept. Process is the same again. Y equals 5 over 2 times 0 minus 8. 2 times 0 gives you 0, so we're left with 5 over negative 8, or negative 5/8. We're just going to leave it like that. is relatively simple. The x-intercept is not so much. Can anybody tell me how I solve that? You don't multiply by 5. Good, you multiply by the denominator. So, when we do that, I'm going to go ahead and put parentheses around here. What am I left with on this side? 5. Because those two divide out to 1, and I'm left with that 5. What am I left with over here? Huh? If I'm multiplying anything by 0, 0. So what does that mean? Not that the x-intercept is 0 and 5. It's not true, which means what? It means I have no x-intercept on this one. So I will show you, so that's not true, so no x-intercept. I'll show you what that looks like. I'm going to grab the calculator real quick. No x-intercept, because there's nothing that you could put in for y, for x that would make y 0. So, that one we'll get into later, but right now let's just keep working on the math part of it. All right. So, my y-intercepts and my, once you get that process down, it's a matter of making sure that you're just solving for x. Algebra skills are solid. So we're going to do some of that practice now. We get out of this class at 1:38. Nearly an hour. So I'm going to give you 20 minutes to work on this. And then I'm going to go over domain and range. So, it's not necessarily my expectation that you finish this in the next 20 minutes. But I would definitely make sure you do a little bit of each, like the different types of problems, because there's some linear ones on here, there's some quadratics on here, and there's one hyperbola one on here. So I'd make sure you do the hyperbola one that's similar to the middle one that we did. Make sure you do a couple of quadratics and a couple of linear, and make sure that you're comfortable with the process. And if you need any help, please speak up. I am happy to help you. Yes. Let me go over it. listen to music while you're working on this. Just make sure you take it out when we start going over domain and range stuff.